What is your weirdest experience while going to the gym? I was running on the treadmill and there was this scruffy guy all hunched down like 3 treadmills away, and he kept loudly muttering to himself, "You can do it, you got this," and making weird noises. He kept doing it for like 20 minutes. At first I was like annoyed, cause he was rather loud and it was weird, but after about 10 minutes I distractedly started thinking to myself, I can do this. I got this. He was unintentionally inspiring to me. Similar to this, there's a guy at my gym who's older, maybe 50s, but seems to be in decent shape and is loud with his treadmill affirmations. However, his technique, he turns the treadmill up to about 12 miles per hour, supports his entire body weight on the rails, and then just flails his legs on the belt for about a minute or two. Then he steps off, so his feet are on either side of the belt, towels himself off, gives off a few loud woos and all rights, and then leans right back onto the rails and flails those legs again onto the belt some more. He keeps this up for about an hour, and I think he's convinced that he could do a 3-hour treadmill marathon. I swear my gym is actually a gateway into the fee. One time I saw a fit man with impeccable, flowing locks stare himself down in the mirror. He just kept saying yes and growling a bunch. Then he went over to the stretching area and did what could only be described as jazzercise while listening to aggressive hip hop on his headphones so loud I could hear it from the squad rack. Periodically, he'd holler out grunts and hype sounds and curse words with the music. I'm pretty sure he was links in a human body. One time I'm on the bench and I hear 2 dudes, "You look ducking amazing bro. You're the best looking dude in this gym." "Nah, you are bro." I turn around after a set, and they're identical twins. There's this old guy who wears a toupee to the gym. It's hideous, like he decided when he bought his wig I'll be ginger now, but he's like a swarthy Mediterranean white dude. When he works out, the toupee wax that affixes it to his bald skull melts and runs down the sides of his head. He never seems to mind. I got literally flexed on. I saw a girl who I mistook as somebody I knew, went to say hi. She was cool about it, said it's happened before. Then a guy came over and said something going on here, and literally just flexed. I've never had a bad experience at the gym before, but this dude was above and beyond. Always see them together now. Dude must have some redeeming qualities about him. Maybe that was the first time they met, and she immediately fell in love with him due to how hard he flexed his muscle. A guy at a very nice luxury gym was not just dropping his squats, he was actively throwing them up and letting them drop 4+ feet to the safety rack, causing a ridiculously loud sound and a crash. When I asked him to stop he was extremely aggressive and rude and said he had been a member for 10 years. Management ended up kicking him out about 10 minutes later. "Sir, we've only been open 5 years. Sir, this is a Wendy's." Back in the early 1980s and late 1970s, I used to work out a Gold's Gym in a western Canadian city. The gym was also the favorite workout spot for professional wrestlers when they were doing a gig in town. The weirdest thing was seeing how dramatically different some of these guys were in real life compared to their wrestling personas. One guy whose persona was of a British dock worker type would show up at the gym in a 3-piece suit. Edit. No, he didn't work out in a suit, and speaking the poshest of British accents, and was constantly giving other wrestlers investment and tax advice. Apparently he was an accountant as well. What was surprising was that some of them weren't faking it, but in real life they were as rude, selfish and ignorant as their characters. I also remember how sad was seeing how some of the older wrestlers were really suffering from dementia, probably cumulative effects of concussions, and were literally guided through everything by other wrestlers, even simple things like getting dressed. I was impressed by the care some of these guys gave to their older colleagues who needed constant attention. However, the most interesting experience was Jess Ventura. Of course, when the wrestlers showed up, they were generally followed around by a horde of fans, usually teenage boys. Some were hostile to their fans, telling them to duck off. Others gave a quick acknowledgement and then moved on. However, Jess would spend an incredible amount of time with his fans, especially the younger ones, listening and talking to all of them with total attention. I remember seeing him trying to do leg presses while taking questions from a crowd of boys about what it means to be a man. Even back then, when he was just the heel Jess the Body, out of the ring he showed that he understood the impact that he could have as a role model to young men and took it seriously. When he became governor of Minnesota, I was definitely not surprised. The woman who was hanging out in the locker room in her underwear. She was there when I came in, and still there an hour later. Someone told me she was probably an model doing a selfie photoshoot. I'm pretty sure at the YMCA where I used to work there were old dudes who came just to be naked in the locker room. There was no sauna or steam room in the locker room. Just locker/changing area, bathroom, sinks, showers. I'd get there an hour or so before my shift, lifeguarding, to work out. Old naked dude in the locker room. I'd finish my workout and go to shower and change into my lifeguard stuff. Same old naked dude still there. I'd go to the locker room to pee during my break. Still same old naked dude there. We'd be closing up and I'd have to go clear out any stragglers in the men's locker room. That old dude is finally putting his clothes on to leave. It was really ducking weird. The Wait Witch lady walks in on a Saturday morning. I've never seen her there before. She was significantly overweight, but had on gloves and knee braces, so I figure she's a powerlifter on a bulk. I'm warming up doing some cable internal rotations and have my headphones on, so I don't see that she sets up at the cable machine behind me. I finish my set and turn around, and I see her getting ready. She's got a straight bar attached to the cable machine with the arm down near the ground and the bar on the floor. She half crouched/squatted in front of this thing, and I'm thinking she's about to do some kind of squat when she starts waving her hands. As in, the kind of hand waving a wizard does when he's imitating someone imitating Bob Fosse-esque jazz hands. I couldn't stop watching. She did this for at least 30 seconds before she grabs the bar to start her exercise. And when I say grab the bar, I mean pick it up with both hands, extend it until it gets resistance from the weight, and then start standing up and half squatting/crouching. She wasn't engaging any weight, she was just using the bar as something to hold in her hands as she stood up and crouched down slightly. She did this for 3 sets and then moved to some cardio machines. I saw her a few times after that, each time doing something equally nonsensical, and always with the incantation hand motions. I miss her and hope she found a nice coven. I go to the gym at lunch and my office is somewhat close to a good sized university, so some of the college students also gym there, since it's cheap and close. One day I was at the gym with a work buddy. We were alternating sets on the butterfly machine which was right in front of a row of treadmills. There were a few folks on the treadmill, an older guy I'd say in his mid-50s and 2 college-aged women 2 treadmills away from the older guy. They're wearing t-shirts and shorts of the local college. The women are running pretty hard, doing some interval work. After a few sets, the woman closest to the old guy lifts her shirt to wipe her forehead sweat off. She's not wearing anything underneath said shirt. The older guy looks over and notices this and promptly stumbles on the treadmill and shoots backward onto the floor about 5 feet. I'm in the middle of my rep when this all happens, and I can't stop laughing. My gym buddy turns around at all the noise of the guy falling over. The 2 women immediately run to the bathroom giggling. I still wonder if this was all some kind of prank or just an accident. Never saw those 2 at the gym again. I was on the treadmill waiting for the only squat rack to open up. A guy was holding it up talking to some other guy, and they talked for like 15 minutes. I was about to ask if I could work in, and then they started praying. Other guy put his head down, and squat guy put his hands on other guy's shoulders and started praying and doing that loud huffing between sentences Southern Baptist preachers do. And then another guy walked up to get in on the action. At the loaded squat rack, I just went and worked my legs on the machines. Lord bless these gains we are about to receive. Years ago I was newly signed up at a gym. On my first day of a real workout I'm approached by a woman who proceeds to tell me off about what I do not know. I explain I do not know her, nor do I know what she is talking about, and she says very snidely, "Oh, it must be your twin sister then who is the bish." I said yes. Everywhere my sister goes she creates headaches for me. I have no sister, and from that point on the woman sort of follows me around the gym every time we are there, at the same time commiserating about what a bish sister I have and how I'm nothing like her, thank God. Red hoodie guy would come into the gym always wearing the same red hoodie. He would hit the treadmill at 10 miles per hour and just go. He could keep this pace for 30 minutes, but never seemed to get exhausted. Here's where it gets weird. He must have had headphones on under the hoodie because he would air guitar and headbang the entire time. Imagine a guy running at full tilt while shredding on an air guitar non-stop for half an hour, not breathing heavily or grunting, before abruptly stopping and walking out of the gym. This man is an in character. Not really weird, but this huge guy was weightlifting at the gym I frequent and he farted, and it was the longest fart I've ever heard. Like at least 30 seconds long. He couldn't stop giggling like a little girl, and then everyone else started laughing and clapping like he just performed a theater piece. It was surreal. I was on the treadmill once, had to fart, let a little bit go to see if they were gonna be noisy. I didn't hear anything, so proceeded to fart my way through the rest of my cardio. Eventually it dawned on me, I had headphones in. I saw a guy in the corner with a 1,000-yard stare just frozen in the locker room. I used to work with homeless and rehabilitation, and there's a certain look I've gotten used to that's hard to explain. It's the I'm an addict, and I'm about to fuck up my life and all the progress I've made, so that I can score look. This kid had that same look. So I went over and talked to him, wearing a swimsuit, goggles, and my flip-flops. There's a certain pushiness that come with a stranger who thinks you're about to duck up your life, so let's talk about it, even though you don't want to talk about it kind of conversation. Turns out I was right. The guy had been clean for 2 months and life was falling apart, and he just wanted a good score of heroin. So I talked him down. I talked about how he had a bunch of white chips. You get a white chip for 24 hours of sobriety, but hardly in reds, 1 month, or golds, 2 months. I told him that he's closer than he's ever been to getting a green, 3 month, and that I'd be thrilled to see him get that. I have a pretty clean keychain that goes through all the colors once, different program with different colors, but same idea, which makes a pretty good conversation piece for folks waffling on recovering. I even had him hand over his stash, so he wouldn't use it once he got home. Edit. Thanks kind strangers for the awards and such. A lot of y'all were wondering if the guy is okay, or what happened to the stash. As far as I know, the guy is okay. I never heard from him again after that day, but that tends to happen with addicts. They cut folks out of their lives when they want to move on to a better place, or when they go to a darker place. I'm betting guy in the gym isn't someone he cared to keep around, as I'd just be a reminder of a rock bottom low. As for the stash, it went into a locked dumpster at a restaurant. You can lift up the lid just enough to throw in a baggie. NSFW. Moving to a new place, no friend/nightlife, so went to the gym twice a day. One night I was closing the place down with a swim, and was almost the last person in the building. Nobody in the locker room, but I could hear a shower on. Walked into the shower, and assumed that some jerk had just left it on. As I got closer though, I saw a shadow. I just went into the shower stall I was adjacent to, men's showers so no doors. There was a man there leaning hard against the wall with a hard-on out front, and one hand reaching down behind his back. When I turned on my shower he froze, turned facing me in shock, and I watched a 10-inch Bilbo flop out of his butt and hang between his legs. He then proceeded to drop it, and awkwardly try to kick it to the side, so I wouldn't see it when he picked it up. I can't unsee it. There's a regular at my gym who always gets stares. She's pretty much built like a stick and she's an older woman in her mid-50s. I've seen her a couple of times doing this workout. She literally spends no more than 30 to 45 secs on each machine, and does them with the worst form I've ever seen in my life as fast as she possibly can. For example, on the cable pull down, she'll pull the handle to her neck level, let it raise to about nose level and pull it down again. She'll do this move of about 3-4 inches of motion, just as fast as she possibly can for about 30 to 45 secs. Then she'll move as fast as she can to the leg press, which she'll fully extend her legs, and with her legs nearly extended she'll just bounce the weight over and over. At no point does she return anywhere close to the start position until she's done after another 30 to 45 secs. Then she'll go to the treadmill or the rowing machine or something and do that with the worst possible form. After about 5 minutes, she's done and she'll quit and leave. Skeleton of man was psycheing himself up for a 225-pound squat. Deep breaths, loud grunting, and smelling salts included. Proceeded to get under the bar, squatted what seemed less than a half rep, more like a quarter rep with bad form, re-racked the weight, and proceeded to yell, "Ducky air," as if he was at a powerlifting meet. I think he had too much pre-workout imho. I went to the gym at 3 in the morning once. As I'm walking to the weights to do barbell curls, I notice a man prancing to one of the shoulder press machines. Not walking, prancing. He then steps on top of it and starts dancing on the machine for about 30 seconds and then does the workout. After this he starts skipping over to the dip machine, dancing around the whole thing before again doing the workout. Then he stands in the middle of the gym and starts shaking his butt to a tune. These dance moves went on for about 40 minutes. The kicker? There was no music playing in the gym, and he had no headphones. I asked my buddy who worked there what this guy's deal was. I was told by him and a coworker that he refuses to look at people because he thinks they'll steal his soul through their eyes. He's a frequent at the gym and everybody usually just tries to stay away from him. As a wise man once said, the gym has two types of people: men 65 and older, and guys who cover their junk. Maybe it's an age thing, but do not talk to me in a locker room. Frankly, don't talk to me at all, but especially in the locker room. If my dung is exposed to open air, that is not a time for a conversation about gas prices. Also, perhaps not weird, but definitely not expected. A few years ago I was super intensive going to the gym. I went 5 days a week, had a personal trainer, the whole deal. At one point, I was getting off the treadmill, and a guy stopped me saying he had seen me at the gym before and could notice a marked difference in my physique and that I was working out really well and shed a lot of weight in like 6 months. I thanked him, mentioned some things I did, and moved on. But I always remember the random compliment that made me keep going.